All right, happy Saturday afternoon, everybody. Welcome on into the Hat Creek Interior Studios. Welcome on into Raiderland Rewind, presented to you by Live Life Well Clinic in Lubbock, and a lot of great things for Texas Tech fans to talk about this afternoon here on the Rewind. Texas Tech goes into Salt Lake City's at Rice Eccles Stadium in Bullies, Utah. They out Utah 34-10. All right, we'll get all your thoughts on the game. We'll give you our thoughts. We'll recap a little bit, but you guys saw it. You know what happened. We want to know what you're thinking. What impressed you the most? What did you like? What did you love? What did you hate? We can skip to the hate part because we know it's penalties, right? We all know it's penalties today, and we will discuss that. They were mind-numbing at times, but through it all, Texas Tech dominates Utah. They dominate them. That you can't take away the penalties, and you can't take away shooting yourself in the foot a few times and a couple of turnovers, and then you do it with your backup quarterback for half the game. We talk about statement victories. This was a team that needed one. Everybody around the country was looking at this game going, okay, who are the Red Raiders? Did they go out and buy a good team, or is it going to blow up in their face? I dare say there were a lot of people around college football who wanted Utah to bully Texas Tech, who wanted Utah to show Texas Tech, you can't just go out and buy a football team. Well, they got a pretty darn good football team. We'll talk about the defense. We'll talk about an emerging young star in Will Hammond. Has he arrived? Is it his time now? Texas Tech out-physicaling a very physical program, and then anything and everything on your mind. So fire away the questions in the comments. Thanks to United Supermarkets. We get you in on the United Supermarkets chat line today. We are, of course, presented by Live Life Well Clinic in Lubbock, headed up by Dr. John Skelton, great Red Raider. They do all sorts of things. They want you to be healthy before you're unhealthy, first and foremost. A lot of great services, guys. We talk a lot about gut health. They specialize in gut health. That's right, your belly, not so good. Maybe your diet's not so good. Maybe your weight management needs a little help. There are a lot of different things they can do at Live Life Well Clinic. I want you to go to their website today, check it out. And of course, we're in the Hat Creek Interior Studios. You don't have to own a ranch to live like you do. Check out hatcreek.us. If you're outside the Lubbock market, they ship anywhere. They are the #1 custom furniture and accessories store when it comes to Western furniture in the country. So let's get your thoughts. I'll give you mine as we go through, but I really want to hear from y'all first today. We'll also catch up with what's going on around the Big 12 today. By the way, if you're North Carolina, maybe you don't schedule any Big 12 teams. That seems to be a problem. So if it's on your mind, it's on the Rewind. We'll start it off with our good friend Kevin McAlpin, and McAlpin Chiropractic, by the way, the official chiropractor of Raiderland. Jumping in, I undershot it by 7. I was thinking 17 on the prediction. Close, very close. I mean, at what point did you really feel good, right? Come on, 3 minutes and whatever, and the announcers, are chalking it up as a Tech victory. I look at my wife and I'm like, I wish they'd just kind of be quiet. I know everything looks great right now, and then Tech goes and gets another touchdown. Even though you felt like Tech was in control of the game, you felt like Tech should be up by 21 at the half, but you're still going, but you're, still a 2-score game. But this team's different, aren't they? Greg, Tech still didn't play its best overall. Tech defense is really, really good. The Texas Tech defensive front is as good as anybody in the country, I'm going to say it. You have 2, maybe 3 NFL draft picks there on the front. They controlled Utah's running quarterback, and Devin Dampier made him look pedestrian, took away the passing game. And when you can run base front, 4 guys, and you don't have to blitz, everything behind you gets better. It's like playing with 12 or 13 players. And that's what it looked like. And I'll say again, this is the best tackling Tech team I have seen in decades when it comes to one-on-one tackling, linebackers and defensive backs. Catches that used to, turn into 15 yards of yak are now caught and dropped for a 2-yard loss or a 1-yard gain. The tackling of this team is spectacular. Did you play the best team you're going to play this year today? Robert Christopher jumps in on the United Supermarkets chat line. Thought that was a great SEC environment. It felt like an SEC, Big Ten, high level, everything on the line type game. And yeah, that place was loud. I mean, it showed. And we will. Joey McGuire addressed after the game on radio on the Tech Radio Network, the penalties, said it's on me. Knew going. They talked earlier in the week. They'd been trying to simulate the crowd noise and everything else. The announcers just mind-boggled that they didn't go to a silent snap count. Easier said than done. Not many colleges can do it, but at a certain point, you just can't jump offside. Okay, I don't care how loud it is. Chris, giving out the old Raiderland helmet stickers. Jack Burgess today getting one for some great punts, pinning them down on the 1, pinning them inside the 20, 3 different times, flipping the field. We talk about hidden yardage in a game, and you didn't hurt yourself on any returns today. You didn't have a lot of return yardage, but you didn't have any of those penalties on that type of stuff, and you really utilized your kicking game. There was only one time that I thought McGuire should have gone for it, because you end up trading 16 net yards, and the announcers were like, that's why you punt right there, because you feel so good about the defense. And I'm like, this is why I go for it right here at about the 45 or so of Utah. This is why I go for it right here, because I do feel so good about my defense. You can articulate that any direction you want to. Welcome on into Raiderland Rewind. We're glad you're hanging out with us here in the Hat Creek Interior Studios, brought to you by Live Life Well Clinic in Lubbock, Texas, headed up by Dr. John Skelton. Tech wins 34-10, a dominant defense that is worth every dime you spent. Hammond, we'll ask the question. See the guy going forward, because in the post game, I thought Joey McGuire, as delicately as he could, was telling you, and we got 2 weeks between now and the next time you see Texas Tech play, long time for Baron Morton to heal up. I think he delicately tried to diffuse any type of quarterback controversy, talking about how great Will Hammond is as a backup, that they expect him to play like that. The standard is the standard. He was brought here because he's a great player, and how he's prepared, and that how Hammond has handled being a backup. Is he still the backup? Greg, Hammond's ability to run, definitely very helpful. Yes. Yes, he has an element to his game that Baron Morton just does not have in his game right now. Will Hammond broke Utah's will. Yeah, see what he did there? Double T dad. Double T dad joke of the day. Nicely done. Tom, Double T Rex question: how much did Tech alternate the defensive linemen today? They were without Duda Banks. I would have to go look at a participation play chart, but they really didn't rotate much beyond that. Six guys up in that interior line. You saw on meaningful downs, Romello Height, you saw Bailey, you saw Hunter, you saw Skylar Dickey, you saw the guys that you want to see out there. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that you were getting them 3 and outs early on. That you were getting, how you rest your defense, and we've always said this. Get the other team off the field. You can play a shorter rotation when you're getting off the field. Jeff says, now we know this Tech team is a legit top 10 team. Are they? I mean, we think they are, right? Somebody's got to be. I don't know if they'll be in the top 10 this week or not. Some of the national pundits will pick apart this game and figure out ways to not move them up more than about 13 or 12. There'll be people trying to rank Clemson and Dabo Swinney after today. Boy, what is it with coaches in orange that have had good careers and all of a sudden look like they need a new location? Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State last night, bless their hearts. Clemson. Chris, defensive line is freaking stout. Greg, and at least at the moment, the kicking competition is over. I mean, Harrington he's got a huge leg. We've seen it now. Got the accuracy, got the kickoffs, but I'm glad you have Upton Bellenfant there, if for no other reason than his name's great. And it's always good to have a couple of kickers. The last touchdown, dropping it in there on Carter just because you could. He'd missed him earlier, had Hammond. He missed it. All right, we'll go. I owe you a touchdown. Let's go get one. And you do it just because you can. Joey McGuire smiles while he just drives in that knife. And he smiles, and he's just nice, Joey McGuire. And he dropped 34 on Utah today at their place and enjoyed every minute of it. And he knows, I had this written down for later, but Kevin, bring it. He knows that Texas Tech has to have style points. That 34-10 later on this year, that you want that to look good. Hey, maybe you see Utah again. Don't know. You want to create doubt in their mind. But he knows that Texas Tech can't merely beat people. They have to bludgeon people. They're going to have to run up the score on people in the Big 12. He knows it. He understands it because there's no room for error for Texas Tech. I firmly believe with the non-conference schedule, unless you are undefeated going to the Big 12 title game and lose a close game and everything works out well, there will be people trying to hold your non-conference schedule against you because you are Texas Tech. Just drive that knife in right there at the end. How does it feel for you longtime Texas Tech fans right now? What is this feeling like for you, that a team that you had high expectations for, and the first real test they have, they go out and they ace it. They look good doing it, and they do it on the biggest window that Fox Sports can offer. There was no typical Tech. There was no show at the showdown. If you're my age or older and you're a Tech fan, how are you feeling right now? Dallas, amazing how horrible Tech looked, and we still blew them out. We are legit, talking about Texas Tech. Defense wins championships. I've always said that. I really think somebody should maybe put that on a T-shirt. Something along those lines would be kind of good. Ryan, impressed with Tech closing it out after Utah cut the lead to 3. Must clean up the penalties. Yep, got to clean up the penalty. Hey, you always want to have something you can yell at the team about. That's great. You go win 34-10, you can gripe about too many penalties. Most of them pre-snap, false starts. You're not going to play in an environment like that. Does matter. They just couldn't hear. They couldn't get their act together. And I guess that a silent snap count was off the table for this team for whatever reason. And again, it's hard to do that in college. Pros can do it. Pros do it a lot anyways. Plus, well, I'll give Utah credit. The environment had a bigger impact than I thought, and Tech still won 34-10. The loudest places you used to have back in the day would be Kyle Field, much more so than UT. Norman could get loud at night, but it was so open that it escapes. Apparently, and this was what I was told going in, the structure of the stadium there at Utah, it's just right on it, and it's all focused. It's like a basketball gym without a roof on it. Red Dawn, Tech, best Tech defense this century. With this start, I would say through 4 games and now beating a legitimate good team on the road, best Tech defense at least since the Zach Thomas era, and that was a pretty darn good defense. You might be talking about going back into the mid-'80s and some defenses that were studded with future NFL players you just couldn't score offensively. And for a little while, I was having flashbacks to that, thinking, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be like a 13-10 game. You're not going to win. You're gonna somehow hold them to like 3 field goals or something, and then not win. And I'm like, this is like Gabe Rivera era Red Raiders under Rex Dockery and Jerry Moore, where they literally played games like that and lost." Stephen, the best part of the defense was when they were still knocking heads in the fourth quarter. Yeah. Sad note, Barron and Morton still hadn't played in the fourth quarter. We are legit. But are they too legit to quit? That would be the question. Jared, how jacked up is Barron Morton's shoulder? Hammond's throws really look good. Shoulder's not bad. I think he had a rib injury on that play. I think he had ribs. It looked like he was hurting. And he got his head knocked down into the turf on that hit. And then the targeting play, he got racked up on that. I don't think you have a shoulder issue. I think you have some other issues. Jeff, Dampier is still the same bad quarterback he was at UNM. I made this joke, and like nobody gets it because I'm old. People talk about him looking like Kyler Murray. I saw Fred Murray out there today. His mechanics are not good. He was a 50% completion guy last year. He'd been hitting at 70%. Well, when you play a defense, it looks a little bit different. His mechanics are not good. I know there was a mention that they thought he might be a little dinged up, but no, his mechanics aren't good. Whatever people were talking about Dampier, Texas Tech completely took it away. And he may run over everybody else in the Big 12. And Texas defense may be that good that they can take a great quarterback or a dual threat quarter and totally neutralize him. But mechanically, I didn't see much out of Dampier that impressed me. Charles just likes to say Will Hammond with exclamation points. And don't we all? Welcome to Raiderland Rewind, presented by Live Life Well Clinic in Lubbock, coming to you from the Hat Creek Interior Studios. You visit with us on the United Supermarkets chat line where you started your day, picking up those supplies for the game and anything and everything you needed, and then getting ready for a big Sunday of NFL. They're the supermarket chain that puts their name on stuff at Texas Tech and in Lubbock. And then there's the one that comes into Lubbock and takes your money and sends it to Austin. Choose wisely. Offense frustrating early. Utah's good D playing out of their minds had a little to do with that. Indeed, it did. And you won't play a better defense. Think about that. You won't play a better defense than Utah the rest of the year unless you get into the playoffs. And you hung up 34 on them at their place, and your backup quarterback played half the game. And for a lot of time in the second quarter, your starting quarterback was just about knocked silly. Tech's depth is going to wear out defenses by the fourth quarter all year. Tech's D is definitely good enough. Well, homage to the last couple of years, the good enough defense. Not great, not even good, just good enough when it matters to try to go steal a win. Now, much more than just good enough. I want to talk about the depth. The two-pronged approach of Dickey and Williams at running back paid, in my mind, huge dividends as the game went on into the second half. And the TV broadcast made mention of, how tired that Utah defense looked. Well, I've been told that Utah is the most physical, tough team and all these things. And, they're gasping for breath. And it wasn't like Tech had been hammering them all day with, 15-play drives and everything. But you could tell that Tech having two fresh running backs at the end of the game or in the second half and into the fourth quarter, that mattered. That Dickey looked fresh, Williams looked fresh, and you could either one, and you can do whatever you want to. My goodness, the Dickey touchdown run there, where he's just all gobbled up, and there's no way he's going to get out of it. I mean, he is in jail. He is underneath the jail, and then all of a sudden he just pops out. It keeps going. It looked like something from electric football sets in the 1970s. But we talk about the depth, in the offensive line, by the way. I mean, we hadn't just gone over the stats, and there are some stats that are meaningful today and some aren't, but you still ended up rolling up 484 yards of offense. You still ran for 173 yards. They didn't. You averaged 4.7 a rush. I thought the offensive line at the end of the day, I might give them a B+, but at the end of the day, you still did things against the toughest defense you're going to play. Let's see. Trying to go back on some comments here. There you go. Let's stick with Hammond. Things started to happen when Hammond went in. To hell with seniority. We have games to win. I was waiting for the first person with a lot of Latin in their handle. Who was going to say it? And I asked in the open, is it Hammond time? Did Baron Morton get Wally pipped? That in the biggest year in program history since at least 2008, with what you can accomplish and what you can see now in front of you, and Joey McGuire is trying really hard not to have a quarterback controversy. If it's we got 2 weeks to discuss this. What are we doing? I got 2 weeks to milk this topic. Hammond makes throws, Morton can't. Morton can make all the throws when he's healthy. He's shown me that. Vicious hit on Morton. Hope Morton's okay. Joey McGuire seemed to intimate after the game that he was okay. There in the locker room. He was okay. Steven, our Twitter X people, by the way, we haven't been, all the people on Twitter X, we love you at Ryan Hyatt Media. Share this, invite people in. Everybody on our YouTube channel, we'd love to go over 1,000 YouTube subscribers before the Houston game. We're in the 500s now. I figure, why not double it in 2 weeks? You guys will make that happen on YouTube. And everything's free. Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland, free, so subscribe there. Or our Facebook page, that's free for Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland. We do different things on different channels a little bit, but we all archive everything at the main website, theraiderland.com. So, yeah, good to see our Twitter X people getting in. Lineman downfield penalty on the long TD at first seemed like a big momentum moment in the game. Yeah, I think it did. You had a couple of things that forestalled Utah early on and kind of frustrated them. Now, I think Tech scoring, Tech punching first was one of them. That penalty, yeah. Fake Natalie Mays, pre-snap penalties were terrible. If we're playing a better team, the outcome might have been different. Well, yeah, maybe not. Utah might have been overhyped. Yeah, maybe. I picked Tech to win. My nephew's 7th grade B team doesn't have that many false starts. They don't play games in that environment where the lineman can't hear. And that's just what they do. There's a reason why the fans have a big old chart, like a strikeout chart, of how many false starts the opposing team has. I was told that the sound issues there are real. I'm a believer now. Now, should Tech have handled it better? Yeah. Could they have handled it better? Yeah. Could they have gone to a silent snap? Don't know. I think we'll probably hear more about that in the coming days. They don't receive nearly the NIL compensation that some of these college players do. Not, but it's close, right? JC, here come the Morton haters. Ryan, I don't care about the national rankings. Just keep winning. You have to care about the national rankings. Now, if you win everything, you win the Big 12 championship game, you're automatically in the playoffs. Okay. That's this much margin for error. You have to care about perception. You have to care about the rankings, and it's okay. I want Tech. I want people to think Tech's a really good football team, Ryan. I want them to be highly ranked. You should if you're a Tech fan. You really should want your team to be highly thought of, highly ranked at all times. You should want to have a program that gets the benefit of the doubt, that going forward, when people talk about Tech football, that you go, wow, with Joey McGuire and we know the resources they have and everything, you just got to believe Texas Tech's going to be a pretty good team no matter what. If you're new here on YouTube, subscribe and hit the thumbs up. That's right. Don't cost nothing, and it really helps move the broadcast and everything else. Amanda's on Twitter X. Would it have been the same if Morton stayed in? We'll never know, will we? Would Texas Tech have continued to wear them down? I think so. That probably doesn't change. Do you run Morton the way Hammond was able to run? Probably not. Does Morton hit some big passes? Do things open up? Does he make some of those plays? He's made some plays in the past for you. But we'll never know, will we? The only thing we know is what Hammond did and that Morton got hurt. And that's all we know. Dan says it's a huge win. It feels like the beginning of something sustainable. That's the difference. Something sustainable. I like that word. Both this year and perhaps going forward. Jeff says, at JC. Not hate, just facts. Andy, damn, I was wrong. I said all week, win by 10. You guys blew your predictions. Y'all were horrible on your predictions. Gino on Twitter X at Ryan Hyatt Media. Grinder of a game, but it was needed. It'll help in the long run. It wasn't. I mean, I'll say it again. This game would have been so good in October, right? It just so good in mid to late October. This game deserved the national attention. I'm glad it had the window, the early window, and you should be too. But man, I wish this game had been played a few weeks later. Tom TT Rex getting in on the United Supermarkets chat line. The last time I looked at stats, Utah had 2 penalties, 10 yards. Tech had over 120 yards. Well, at the end of the game, 14 penalties for 122 yards. Utah had 2 penalties for 10 total yards. But when most of your penalties, again, 8 of the 14 were pre-snap, I believe 8. Did we get to 9? I truly lost track. I think Tech got penalized during the TV timeout even. And then you had a couple of big ones. You had the face mask yardage-wise. You had a couple. Were there 1 or 2 DPIs today? I'll have to go back and double-check on that. 14. You can't have a bunch of penalties and win. Texas Tech. Hold my beer. Watch my defense. You know? Hanny St. John, our first team D, has only given up 10 points. Fact. Randy, how do you have that many pre-snap penalties? Really loud, incredibly loud. They can't hear. I mean, that's how you do it. They can't hear, and they're going on the quarterback snap. You hear how loud that is? You hear how loud that is in here in the Hat Creek Interior Studios? Okay, it's actually not really that loud. I don't know that they had a silent snap procedure put in talking about Tech. You won't play in another environment like that, but that's how it is. I mean, it's that loud. It's why you see that in Seattle in the NFL. There in Minnesota is another incredibly loud building. 2 of the only buildings in the NFL that it really truly affects. The crowd affects the ability of the players to hear. But they're old veterans. They're used to that. These guys aren't. Joey should have called a timeout, brought the entire offense to silent, made them do push-ups. We will not see Utah again. Maybe you will. Maybe you won't. They've not had a conference win at home. TCU looked good against a decent SMU team. Their receivers are impressive. Very good friend of mine, sometimes contributor Alan Corbin here in Raiderland, texted me today, and this is talking about Utah's transition into the Big 12 and how they have been punched in the mouth with a physicality in this league that the program-wide was not ready for, that Cal Whittingham is not used to other teams after playing in the Pac-12 in an incredibly finesse, weak Pac-12. They're not used to the physicality. Week in and week out. And I believe he's right. What is that? 2 losses for SMU against the Big 12. There you go. Your SMU. Brad gets in on Twitter X at Ryan Hyatt Media as we hang out here in the Hat Creek Interior Studios. Biggest win period since blank. 2008. No, I mean, really. Biggest win easily since 2008. Nothing since then has been on a national stage that would move you and propel you further. Nothing in 2013. You were in 2013. You have the good start of the season, but none of it was really anything that people were looking at going, yeah, all right, we got to watch out for this step. No. Biggest win since 2008. Biggest road win and road environment in a meaningful setting. I think it's really interesting too, doesn't it? On the road, ranked opponent in a conference, not a rival, out of state, make a statement, finish strong, 24 points, not one score, tied finish. Don't immediately recall one like this in my 50-plus years. I said 50-plus years of fandom, Brad. It's hard to find them. Again, meaningful, not just in a bubble, not just, hey, it was nice to go beat Texas that time, or it was nice to win at A&M. Well, what did it mean? Well, what does this mean? Well, it only matters if you go, win out from here, I guess. We'll see. Gino talking about Devin Dampier made it look like he was throwing a block. Again, I thought his mechanics were bad. Off back foot, not crisp, and you just took away his ability to run the football. And I'll say this. They talked about, Carson Beck, the offensive coordinator that they brought in with Dampier from Utah, from New Mexico to Utah to, bring the party with him. I don't get the party. I didn't see anything that built off anything for Utah's offense. They didn't build off a play action game, off a run game. I didn't see any explosive RPOs for the most part. Again, maybe Texas Tech's defense is just so good. I'm not used to seeing Tech defense maybe take a great quarterback and a great athlete and humble him, right? Maybe I'm just not used to that. I don't get what the Utah offense is. Randy, Dampier's completions were high because his throws were 5-yard out routes. He can't throw downfield because he can't see over the line. He's listed at 5'11". He looks a little thicker than Kyler Murray did in college, but maybe about the same height. Dampier was on a 5-7 New Mexico team. His only good trait was his legs. Made him one-dimensional. Solid win today. Nice time for a bye. He wasn't even really one-dimensional. And yes, it is a great time for a bye. Joey McGuire talking about that on the post-game radio show on the Tech Network, that they are football beat up. And I believe it. This game was a slugfest for 3 quarters. Then it turned into a round. But they'll know they were in a game. I'm talking about the Tech players on the flight home tonight. They'll know. Caleb Douglas was clutch. Caleb Douglas, the scenario in the third, was it in the third quarter, where Hammond puts one down the right side, right on the finger, and he just can't hold on to it. And he goes back to the huddle and he says, "This man cannot cover me." Run the same damn play. And I don't know, Mac Leftwich was, on the sideline in the headset saying, "Run the same thing." That guy cannot cover him. And they did, and he didn't, and he caught it, and he did make some great catches for you today. The final numbers on the receiving today. Terrence Carter with 7 catches, 49 and a touchdown. Virgil with 6, 72 yards and a touchdown. Douglas, 4 big catches, 68 yards, but boy, he showed up when you needed him. Aiken, only 3 catches, 31 yards. I thought he'd play a bigger role in this one. And then Dickey and Williams, 5 catches for your running back. That'd be a nice little fantasy football stat for you right there if that was just one running back. Dickey with the 13 carries for 67 yards, 2 touchdowns. Wheels Hammond with 8 runs for 61 along with 32. Williams, 11:43. And, of course, Williams with, just great moves today and setting you up for that first touchdown. And, what was that like for them going, hey, they got fast guys too? Glad you're with us on the Rewind today. We'll go as long as the discussion is fun, enjoyable, and you guys are having fun. Keep inviting your friends in, your family. Stop folks on the street you don't even know. Show them your phone and say, look what, we're talking Texas Tech football, Big 12, and everything else. And we can open it up to anything that's on your mind, general discussions from here, college football, and whatever else. But obviously the focus is on Texas Tech's 34-10 victory over Utah today. Lonnie, as a 53-year-old Tech fan, you youngster, I hope they don't pull a Tech and lose to the worst team in the conference like in the past. This ain't that team. I'm not saying they're going undefeated, but this ain't that team. These guys are different. Defense played like a well-oiled machine. Everybody, let's see what they do when they play a real team, a real offense. And I felt like going in, and I was talking to you guys this week about, I thought the under was a dead under game. By that, I mean, I thought 57 points for the total for 2 teams was way too high. That both offenses were going to finally play a defense with a pulse, and we thought both defenses were pretty darn good, right? So it stood to reason that Tech's short, scoring strikes and 49 points and a half, well, that wasn't going to happen. In Utah, if they were going to run their script, theoretically, it was going to be about long, sustained drives, Dampier running, a little passing, working, and just physical you down the field for those 10 and 12 play drives. And then the Texas Tech defense just right off the bat showed you that this is going to be a different kind of deal. On the road, beat ranked opponent, plenty of coaching issues, bye week, couldn't draw it up better, and never got out of third gear on offense. D didn't show a lot of exotics. Nope. And that's why I'm saying that this defensive front is so good, it's like playing with 13 players, because by not having to walk up a linebacker and run support or even pass rush, by not having to bring up a a nickelback by winning first downs. And we'll go through first downs and different things maybe before we get out of here. The stats on this one, on some of the advanced stats and metrics, were not deceiving. They are what they are, but it really didn't play as big a role in it as it might in some games or give you the full story. Still matters. Ryan, not ready to bench Barron just yet. He's won a lot of games. Yes, he has. When he's healthy, when he starts, when he finishes, he wins games. Ben, physically dominated today. We have dudes. They got a lot of dudes. And yes, you out Utah to Utah, everything they're supposed to do, everything Utah is supposed to be, Tech was, and better. You were better conditioned, I thought, by far than Utah. You know? You were much better conditioned than Utah. And you were stronger. And you were just more physical. Fake Natalie Maines. Hammond improved a lot over the bowl game. I know the bowl game didn't matter. Wasn't playing with the ones like he did today, but it was much better play. Yeah. If Morton isn't available, do we call up Nigeria for emergency backup? Well, you got Mitch Griffiths in there, who's started the collegiate level. You actually do have a more than a competent third string quarterback that I would feel good. But yeah, I think Nigeria, it would be interesting. I'd love to see if she can throw a football underhanded, what that would look like. No, you still had them once Hammond came in. You still had the false starts, Rocco. I mean, you started the second half with one. Well, you get a penalty on the face mask, and then you get the false start on the next play. I'm like, no, what are we doing here? Let's say sustainable is a compelling word. I agree. Sustainable for the season. There's nothing you did today that you can't do the rest of the season. Then we go program wide. Well, you ain't running out of money anytime soon. The facilities ain't getting any worse. The transfer rule ain't really changing, even if they do work on the window and wait for the court challenge on that, by the way. Nothing is changing in the landscape that is fueling and creating what you're seeing by Texas Tech. Yeah, I noticed that too. Wonder why that is. I've never seen that before in football. Weird how it happens with some quarterbacks and not others. Again, environment, it was noise, it was loud, and Tech was using a hand clap for the snap, not a cadence. Jeff, ours is the way forward. Just ask Gundy and Dabo. Two coaches who hated NIL, who hated transfers. They railed about it. They didn't want to get involved, and they're both struggling. They need to do like Jay Wright and get out, or they're going to get out. I mean, does Gundy survive? I guess he's still the coach today, right? They're not going to fire him during the season, I don't think, at Oklahoma State. I don't think they're going to do that to him. I mean, would he walk maybe? Dabo, on the other hand, has almost dared him. Hey, you don't like winning? Well, you can just fire me. Okay. The first NIL we raise will go to you, Dabo. Dagger Dan getting in says this one feels different. This whole thing is different. I felt it last week when I was there in Lubbock. Watching today was different. By the way, my phone never rang. Dan, that's all I'm saying. Never rang. I mean, I'm not some, high-level professional baseball announcer. I admit it. I guess that's all you can hang out with these days. Curious, does anyone know how many watched the game? 4 million was the prediction on one site. We won't get that until next week. And by that, I mean this coming week. We'll get some of those numbers Monday, and I will make sure that we see that. We'll see. It was a hyper-regional game, and by that, I mean it was all, west of the Mississippi, two teams west of the Mississippi. Not a top 10 matchup, but a great window, and nothing really going on in the early windows that I think would just totally dominate it, A man who likes Colorado in the Lake City area, I'm guessing, Will Hammond is QB1. If Barron Morton's healthy in 2 weeks against Houston, he'll trot out first. I'm almost certain of that, just from the comments today. Jeff showing the power of five. We asked every broadcast if five people will go to the Facebook pages, social media feeds, or whatever of our sponsors, and say thanks for being a part of what we're doing. It means a whole lot. That includes the good people and Dr. Skelton at Live Life Well Clinic. That includes our friends at United Supermarkets and Market Street. That includes everybody at Hat Creek Interiors. So many people, so many comments that I'm scrolling through right now trying to get it. All right, Tom T. Rex, with the bizarre nature of the penalties that happen, Tech should at least get a high top 10 in the AP. I'll predict 13, somewhere around 13 or 12. Rocco, don't forget to smash the like button. Please smash the like button. Looking ahead, do you think Houston or BYU will be a tougher test? BYU. Willie Fritz, a proven good coach. BYU always up to the test. You want controversy, Brigham Young, you want their coach to be rumored to take over every program from UCLA to Oklahoma State to whatever. Actually is rumored for the UCLA job. There are our friends at Live Life Well Clinic. Better linebacking core, Current or Thomas? Banks, Johnson, Coleman of the 90s. Great question. These guys are really good right now. They're playing really well. Obviously, Thomas goes on to an NFL Hall of Fame career. Do we have a guy like that? Slight edge to the 90s linebacking core. But this group has got a front in front of them that Zach Thomas, if you could combine them, it's a slight edge, okay? And part of this that I'm colored because I know what those guys ended up doing, and we're still waiting to see what this group of linebackers, with Roberts and Rodriguez, and I throw, how about our man Curry out there again, making plays happen, football player, slight edge 90s. But maybe that's just because I know what they ended up doing. Still can't understand not using a silent count unless they just don't have it in the arsenal, hadn't worked on it. I don't know why you wouldn't go to it. It's not easy. Jeff thinking Live Life Well Clinic, Florida Raider getting in. Hope this coaching staff can see who the better quarterback is. Again, I'll say they've watched these guys for the last 2 years, every day in practice, every day in prep, everything else. Do you really think that Joey McGuire is football dumb and can't see what you see? Do you really think that Joey McGuire doesn't know who the best quarterback is? Because Baron Morton, when he's healthy, is a really good quarterback. He's not healthy right now, today. I think you just ought to be happy you've got options. We always have quarterback injuries. I feel like we can't get away from that. Every team in college football, for the most part, has quarterback injuries. Every fan base thinks we're cursed, man. Our quarterbacks are always getting hurt. College quarterbacks get hurt now because of RPOs, zone reads, and the exposure that they take, and just the dudes are really big and they hit them really hard. It's why you don't see teams in the NFL do a lot of those type of plays that expose the quarterback. It's why you don't see teams even want to run the tush push, because they don't want to get the quarterback hurt. It's not a Tech thing. Rocco silent count definitely needs to be in our offensive toolbox, especially if we end up having to go play a road playoff game at Penn State or something. I'm not opposed to it. He's from Central Texas, or she. First time in my life I felt Tech is really the best team in the conference. We don't need gimmicks, hanging on to big leads, lots of mistakes and luck. I know exactly what you're saying. That prima facie, that this Red Raider team, not just, you could beat anybody in the league, or you got a chance, you got a puncher's chance. No, that you look around now 4 weeks in, and this is when we should really be making evaluations. In my opinion, the polls should start this week, not even after week 3, because that's still cupcake land on the schedule. But now that you can look around and you can fundamentally go, this is a good football team. And I've not seen anything from any other Big 12 team. Arizona State, nope. TCU, nope. Utah? Nope. BYU? Nope. That says, yeah, they're better. We're a top 5 team, says Andy. Yeah, might be. Got a long way to go. Copycat Cowboys are terrible. They are. First time since 1951 they lost in Stillwater to Tulsa. Uh, Jan, Spikes, we keep shooting ourselves in the foot. This could hurt us badly if it doesn't get fixed. It was a one-off today with the false starts the way they happened. You're not going to be in that environment again. The other penalties, DPI is a penalty of aggression. I thought one of them was ticky-tack. The Aiken face mask, not so good. But I'm going to say the one-off on Rice Eccles in that environment, yeah. Now, if you go out and get 8 false starts next week, call me back. Stephen, can our quarterback use tortillas for a silent count? Catch a loophole on the Big 12 unsportsmanlike rule. Need to look at it. Ron, which is not nearly as interesting as AA Ron. Whittingham, Gundy, Belichick, Dabo Swinney, they all look like the same coach right now. Old, tired, and not 100% committed to coaching or recruiting anymore. So they made a big deal on the broadcast about Whittingham trying to get them back and changing up the offense and going and getting a hot, young offensive coordinator and bring his quarterback in. And I still don't know what it was. I'm talking about their offense. I'm talking, and maybe Tech was so good they took it away from. Still don't know what it was. Gunny went out and got Todd Grantham as defense coordinator. Jeff, I don't get all the TC love. Iowa State will be in the championship game instead. TCU's got a really nice quarterback in Hoover. I think they're really overall just a nice depth team. They've recruited very well in the high school ranks the last 2 years. They're just a good, solid team. Do they do anything amazingly great? No, I don't think so. But I think they're going to be problematic for teams. Something to be said for a gamer on the road in a tough spot, 100%. Not discounting anything Hammond did. You're not a very good team. What if we find out they aren't? Then what? If you're a Tech fan, you want Utah to be a good team. You need them to look good for you going forward. But I did say going into it, and one of the reasons why I was picking Tech is I kept hearing all week, and this was nationally as well, but we just don't know anything about the Red Raiders. Look at what they've done and who they played and blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, they were still touting a Utah win over a horrible UCLA team. Oregon State's better than UCLA. Oregon State would beat UCLA. And Texas Tech just donkey stomped Oregon State. I know apples to oranges to grapes, but I kept looking at why didn't anybody talking about Utah? What have they done? They rolled up nice numbers against Wyoming, but they left a ton of chicken on the bone, and the score, people could say the score wasn't indicative of how they controlled the game, and it's true, but Wyoming's not very good. But going back to what Ron says here, if you're Tech, you need Utah to be good. You got to beat somebody good. Rocco, didn't see many stunts from the defensive line, just kept it base and kicked their ass straight up. We talked about that earlier before you got in. The ability for Shieldwood to be able to use a base front and not even have to use a lot of stunts, but literally use a base front, dominate, control, reestablish the line of scrimmage into the backfield, maintain control, and keep your quarterback from escaping and run. It's like playing with 13 players because you don't have to walk up a 5th player to control the line. Linebackers are allowed to roam free. It's just really fascinating to watch. This is a great defensive line. And yes, they didn't bring a lot of blitzes. And again, I didn't see a ton of stunts, 2-man concept or otherwise. Jan, the Jones is also loud. What's the difference? Jones also holds more. The way that stadium is constructed, they tell us, the way that the fans are focused onto the field, right on top of the field, just everything about it acoustically. And apparently, they make a lot of noise. Maybe they're just louder. Maybe they do things that make it louder. Maybe their fans are just loud people. Let's see. That defense is for real. Breaking news, Texas Tech defense for real. Almost feel sorry for any quarterback left on our schedule. They're going to get hit a lot. Yes, there was butts being kicked today. They were. Stone Harrington, good from 58. You know, where do you want to go? Let's check in on some of the scores. North Carolina trailing UCF 13-10. Oh, that's a Big 12 team. 2:31 left in the first half. TCU won 35-24. Coming up tonight, you've got West Virginia at Kansas. How do we feel about that one, everybody? What are we thinking on that one? Rich Rod going to come in there, disappoint Kansas. Where are they playing? They're at David Booth, Kansas Memorial Stadium. Baylor, Arizona State. I mean, we got some good games coming up tonight to pay attention to, right? The Fighting Sawyer Robertsons, bad defense. Baylor, Arizona State, don't know who they are. Just no. If I'm Baylor, I would bring in every cowbell I could. BYU out of conference at East Carolina coming up tonight. And then you've got Wyoming and Colorado. Colorado should win this, favored by 12.5. Then we know what happened last night there in Stillwater. I get so engrossed in Texas Tech during the day that all my friends are like watching all the other games and everything else. And, this and that. I was like, hey, I'm watching one game right now. I'm only seeing one game. So forgive me if I couldn't tell you that much about Oregon State. Rivalry game, that was a huge number. There's 7:37 left in the game. Oregon's up 28-7. Auburn and Oklahoma. I don't know if y'all are watching that. Oklahoma leading 10-3. 6 minutes left in the second. Oklahoma may be pretty decent. Notre Dame, Purdue, 28-13. With minute 31 left in the second quarter. Halftime, Michigan and Nebraska are tied at 17. Nebraska 3-0. Anybody buying what they're selling? Michigan 2-1. That loss at Oklahoma. Ole Miss 23-3. Late first half at home against Tulane, and then Florida State and Kent State are delayed 35-7. I assume this is at halftime. Maybe not, at least into the second quarter. I wish they would say where we are in the game. It just says delayed. Doing some comparative scores, right? You're going to look and see if Florida State can beat Kent State the way Texas Tech did. And then Georgia Tech and Temple are just getting underway there at Bobby Dodd Stadium. We'll take a few more of your comments here in the Hat Creek Interior Studios as we visit with you on Raiderland Rewind, brought to you each week by Live Life Well Clinic in Lubbock. Everybody getting in on the United Supermarkets chat line. Going to go back up, catch some of the comments. John wants to know, he's on our YouTube channel. Glad to see some YouTubers checking in. Remember, we want over 1,000 subscribers by the Houston game. Can we justify keeping Morton as the starter at this point? Sure, you can justify it. You can say he was the number one guy going in. He's not going to lose his job by injury, that he's earned the right. He had you at 3-0. He had you winning the game. Yeah, you can 100%. Joey McGuire pretty much did that post-game. But if you don't trust Joey McGuire on talent evaluations, then I guess you can say no. Charles, great to be there live. Lots of Red Raiders there. Oh, wow, Charles getting to take it in. Well, they can firsthand tell you how loud it was there. Fake Natalie Maines, Texas Tech, Iowa State, TCU are the only two Big 12 teams. Are the only two Big 12 teams that have done what they're supposed to? Houston and BYU are looking serviceable. Tech, Utah both went out. We'll meet again, says Damon, in the Big 12 championship game. I'd like to see that game. And here's why I'm saying that today. Let's say Utah rolls from here on out, right? And their only losses to you. And you roll. Is that not the best possible matchup right now? It's better than an Iowa State team, I think. Certainly better than an Arizona State team. Would that not be the best scenario as we sit here on the 20th day of September? Can you believe we are having that discussion? What are we thinking? That's the best scenario, though, right? Everybody said Utah had the best offense in football. Texas Tech just made liars out of them. Rocco, the announcer, said Harrington didn't have the leg for that kick right before he hit it. A little draw down the middle. McGuire was talking about how before the game, Kenny Perry was saying, probably got to get him to the 40. It was the 35 on one end and the 40 on the other. And then before the kicker, Whiter said, yeah, I think, the wind's died down or whatever, might 40, 42, maybe 42. And I still need to find out. I will find out maybe even today if I can get a hold of the right person. The NFL has changed the rules on the balls that the kickers use during the game now, that they're broken in during the week. That the K ball has a K on it for the kicker. They're broken in during the week, and they are traveling significantly far. They travel much farther than a new ball or whatever. And these kickers also know, I know this sounds crazy, but in the NFL and maybe even college, they know which of these footballs does better off grass, off turf. Don't laugh that there are kickers that saying they know which ball they can draw or which ball they can fade. I do not know if that rule has changed in college. I don't know. I do know that Harrington has a big leg, and it's going to come in handy at some point, you got to think. Randy, Jones Stadium bigger, but its design doesn't effectively contain the noise. If we had gone up instead of out back in the day, it would be deafening. And you're right. What they did when they rolled back the stands in 1957, and they excavated down the bowl, and then they put the stands down there when they increased stadium capacity to reach 48,000, so they could be a member of the Southwest Conference. It expands far out, the crowd, and you're really, compared to a lot of stadiums, really far away from the field. I know Tech fans know this. It allows the noise to escape. Architecture 101. I didn't even have a single class. Did date a couple of girls that were in architecture, but I mean, I can pick up stuff. Notre Dame and Purdue are just delayed, says our man Trace. Notre Dame still being ranked at 0-2 shows how big a poll joke the AP poll is. Weather delay. And then Lynn, time for the chicken fajitas today. Break it out. It's probably time for us to wrap up today's rewind. We've had an absolute blast. We do ask you to do a couple of things. Share this with your friends. Invite them on in. We'll be back with you in the morning on the site, theraiderland.com, with our 5 things we know on a Sunday column. But then you can also share this and put this on Twitter or YouTube or X. We're going to have it posted on the website here in just a little bit. But then be sure and follow us on all of our platforms. Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland on YouTube and Facebook, and at Ryan Hyatt Media on Twitter. Thank all of our great sponsors, Live Life Well Clinic, Dr. John Skelton, also Hat Creek Interiors, Corey Flanagan, and just the best Western furniture, Western-style furniture you're going to find anywhere, and they ship anywhere. So go to their website, hatcreek.us, and you'll fall in love with a desk or a couch or something. You'll be telling your wife, we really need to update the couch, honey. Don't you think? Awesome, cool stuff. If you're in Lubbock, go by the showroom there at 10101 South Slide Road. And of course, our friends at United Supermarkets and Market Street, all of the communications here and on the daily broadcast each night at 6:30, brought to you by United Supermarkets. Rocco, I always wanted to be a marine biologist, but that was just me. All right, this was a lot of fun. We got a lot of good things to talk about over the next 2 weeks, getting ready for Houston, and we're going to enjoy the bye week. I think everybody will, but we will be with you every day on the daily broadcast too. So plenty of good things to get into. Thanks for being out there. You guys are the best audience, and all of broadcasting. We appreciate what you guys do for us here at theraiderland.com.